Today on Empathy Inbound, I'm joined by Ann Lopez, the founder and creative director of Studio 790, a multi seven figure interior design firm based in Miami, and the national brand recognized by Architectural Digest, HGTV Magazine, and multiple Inc. Best in Business awards. Ann turned her life around at 40 after deep personal loss, building a company that has donated almost $500,000 to nonprofits, while mentoring women entrepreneurs to scale without burning out. Her story of resilience, purpose, and radical generosity offers a very different model of success in an industry not always known for transparency or care. Gosh, there's a lot there. I'll try not to keep you for hours and hours, I promise. Um, I guess the place I wanted to start with really was if you could speak a little bit about turning your life around at 40, I know after major setbacks and personal loss, when you look back, what can you tell us about that period of your life?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that warm and robust introduction. What I could tell you is that the hardest seasons of life, the pain that we go through, will have purpose. And to not sort of divert where you're at, but instead go through that pain, go through that season. Everybody has experienced some level of loss, suffering, etc. in their life. So I'm sure some people can relate to this and maybe some people can't. But what I can tell you from my experience when, going through the season I went through, which was sort of a surprise COVID divorce and, one day to the next becoming a single mom and having just started my business, and then sort of losing a lot, all within days. When I think about that moment and I think about myself today, I'm grateful for it. And I could see, God's hand in it all from the beginning, up until right this moment. And so I think true suffering is really what allows us to understand and really feel true joy. So it's caused me to not be so afraid of pain, and it's also caused me to walk alongside a lot of people now that I have a level of empathy. um, having gone through what I've gone through, now I can sort of lock hands with people and help them through seasons and be able to help carry others. So that's to me one of the best honors that I now get to be a part of as a result of my season that I had.
What what do you think it was or is about you and maybe your background, your upbringing? I guess it could have gone two ways. These terrible things could have happened, and you could have shrank and struggled, and goodness knows where you'd be today. Or you could end up being this hyper successful, incredibly empathetic, powerful businesswoman. What do you think it was about you that drove you down one path rather than the other?
There's a couple of things I would say to that, which would be habits. So
Mhm.
I remember going through this, and this phrase came to me. A wise person in my life said, "What do you do when you don't know what to do?" Meaning, what do you do when you know, life hits the fan? You do your habits. And so when I sat there, I thought, okay, I have a choice today. I can lay in bed all day, or I could do my habits that I have been building and doing for years. So I would go to the gym. I would still go to church. I would still show up, to the event that I had committed to. I just did the healthy habits
Mm.
that, that I have been building for many years. And it made me realize habits are not really for the day to day. When you build strong, healthy habits in your life, physically, emotionally, spiritually, it's really those habits become activated and the most helpful when we go through those seasons. So that was one big sort of lesson in learning as I went through that made me choose the path that I went on, which you sink or swim. You become a victor or a victim. And I chose swimming and I chose to become a victor. And it wasn't an easy choice, but when you have strong and healthy habits, that helped me. I don't think it was the only thing. Um, the second thing that I would say is I'm a spiritual person. I believe in Jesus. Like clinging to God in this season was really all that I had. Certainly, some days it was literally all I had. And so, when you know that you have somebody that's going to carry you, a higher power, that's going to carry you. There's a piece that allows you to get through that season and get you to victor stage versus wallowing in our suffering. And the third thing I would say is, um, speaking of habits, one thing that I have been doing for the previous, few years, of no coincidence, is lots of self-development trainings. And
Mhm.
one comes to mind. I am a Tony Robbins person,
Mhm.
and a lot of his programs have shaped me and have helped me in my business, in parenting, in my marriage, in my, physical part of my life. And I remember thinking, like, not what would Tony do, but what are some things I've learned from his programs that maybe I need to choose to activate in this season? Because again, what we don't realize about life is all the good, healthy things that we're doing, as I said, they're not meant for the everyday. They're great in the everyday. They help you, get 1% better, but it's really in those times where you need it most. And that's when you stop and say, I have a decision to make, and I can make a decision to be, you know, sad longer than I need to be angry longer than I need to be, to not forgive. I can go through that, or I can come out on the other side. And because I was equipped for years prior, that really helped catapult me. So I really encourage people, like, don't take this everyday life for granted. Those little things that you're doing will make a difference in your life.
Absolutely. Um, no, I can empathize with a lot of that. I lost both my parents in a short period of time, relatively recently, and I think it was a lot of the habits, including, sounds like you have dogs as well. So including sort of getting up in the morning, taking the dog for a walk, being outside, going
Yeah,
out in the afternoon. There's all the things that you sort of have to do, but I think because they were ingrained beforehand. I think when it becomes harder, I think is trying to create habits in the midst of a period of difficulty. So you're
yeah,
trying to get through it and trying to create new habits, and that's hard. So I think I totally agree. Having those habits ingrained beforehand makes life just so much easier. Because
yeah,
you can go on autopilot. Think, well, I always do this. I'll keep doing it, and then everything else can, yeah, that will happen. But all these things that I typically do, I go to the gym, I walk the dog, get out in the fresh air, I swim outside, all
exactly.
those things. It just helps so much more, really. So,
It
so
does. Yeah.
so just coming onto Studio 790. Sorry to jump about, but you're a lot of people start businesses, have ideas, but never really get further than either an idea or the first few months when it all becomes too hard and they stop. So how do you think you grew from what was started at your dining room table to becoming a multi seven figure, nationally recognized, awarded, respected brand? What do you think it was about you and your determination, about your focus that helped grow to where you are today?
Yeah. I think the one thing that is certain that I know to be true, which is I had a longing to be an interior designer for many, many years. And many years, like decades of years. And when I went to school many years ago, when I went to college 25 years ago, this idea of being a creative and being an interior designer really wasn't a prominent path,
Mhm.
right? It was our generation, it was pretty linear for the most part. While there were some creative paths you could take, mostly there weren't. There was, right, you become a lawyer, a doctor, a marketer, you're in finance. When
Yeah.
I think about my friends and ecosystem, that was the path that most people took.
Mhm.
And so I went into marketing, which is a creative field. And while I loved it and I built a beautiful corporate career in that, I still had the longing. And I woke up one day and I felt like, you know what? This is it. I have one life to live. And this longing that I feel, I know it. I've never been more certain. And when you're in a physiological stage of certainty, that's when you make a decision. That's when you
Mhm.
do it because you're so certain. And so that's what I did. I said, I'm 39 years old. I'm going to do this thing. And so I quit my corporate job and um, built something from nothing. And the getting from something to nothing, to really answer your question, um, it was, how do I capitalize on my 25 years of experience to catapult this business? So I don't have a design degree. I don't know AutoCAD. I don't have the technical skills on this, but I know I have the visual and aesthetic skills. I have the business acumen. I have the relational skills. I can sell ice to an Eskimo. So thinking about our strengths and then using those and not letting the deficits get in the way of living out your purpose. I'd never let the deficits get in my way, because if I did, I wouldn't be talking to you today. I would
Mm.
probably still be in corporate America. What I focused on was, what are all the things I do have that I know set me apart in this industry? And I feel the same right now. I still don't know, AutoCAD, and I still don't know a lot in my own industry, but I have a lot of other gifts and talents and strengths that are able to help my firm flourish. And then you fill the gap. So when I started the business and I started growing, realizing, oh, this is not a solopreneur journey. This is going to be a team journey that I never anticipated. So I would hire and I would bring somebody alongside of me that was better than me in certain areas, because that's what leadership and business development and team development is about. Is, okay, let me have the self-awareness to know my weaknesses and my voids, and let me bring people around me that have strengths and can help fill those voids. And now here we are. It's as easy as that.
Yeah, oh, it's so easy.
So easy.
But I think you said something really powerful there. I think a lot of leaders sometimes feel very uncomfortable, very uncertain when they think about hiring people that know things they don't know.
Mm,
I've always been in the camp, and it sounds you're in a similar camp, that never wanted to be the smartest person in the room.
no,
If I ever am, go to a different room.
totally.
I just love being surrounded by people that know things I don't know, because how else do we learn if you don't
Exactly.
surround yourself by I'm never going to be the best accountant, designer, lawyer, creative in the world. Of course not. But why should I learn that? Because there's other people out there that are brilliant at that. But what I'm good at is X, Y, Z. So I think that yeah, it shows a lot of self awareness to know that. Because a lot of people try and hold on to everything, and in the end, often end up losing far more than they expect. Really.
Exactly.
Do you, and this is almost answering the question itself, so forgive me. But do you find that sometimes it's the projects where you notice it sounds silly, a big small impact? So what I'm saying is sometimes it sort of feels talking to you that you sometimes perhaps don't get the greatest amount of pleasure from the huge mega project actually versus the small project where actually you can really see the difference it's made. And I wonder how you decide what your criteria is for deciding what projects to take on, because there is only 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you could be 10 times busier than you are, but how do you decide which projects to actually to focus on?
Yeah, this is a great question. And I think it's $1 million question. And how I would answer it is, in the beginning, in the first few years of the business, which is, we started in 2019. I literally had a value system or a mantra, whatever you want to call it, which was say yes to everything,
Yeah.
because I knew I needed experience. I
Mhm.
knew as I grew, my team and I needed experience in every aspect of this industry.
Mm.
And so we would get some clients that I felt like maybe weren't the right fit relationally, but
Mhm.
maybe the project, I felt like, okay, that's going to teach us something. And I wish I could tell you that I'm at a place where I don't say yes to everything still. We're way better. I will tell you that, but I have found that when we say yes to a client or a project that carries our values, that meets some of the sort of thresholds that we have, even if it's maybe a smaller project. Let me give you an example to illustrate
Mhm.
my point. It's better that way. We are designing an Airbnb right now for a lovely gentleman, and it's a tiny project. His budget was tiny, and we have had on our dream list as a company that we would design 10 award winning Airbnbs. Okay. Up until just recently, we had never signed one Airbnb yet. And so this lead came, and I remember looking at it like, the budget is not really making any sense.
Yeah.
But if I have a dream to build or to design 10 Airbnbs, well, I at least have to do one. I at least have to learn one about this industry and how it works and what matters so that we can garner the skill set to then one day do 10 award winning ones. So I said yes. And so I think it's this idea of, and in that, yes, sorry, let me finish that thought. We've learned a lot
Mm.
about Airbnbs. We've learned about the mindset of the owner. We've learned about what matters most. We learned how to source differently than we do for other clients. That's only going to help us when we get the next one and the next one and the next one. And
Yeah.
so I'm happy I said yes, despite it maybe not being the most profitable. I have other projects that are more profitable that it balances out. So the figuring out what's going to yield maybe the most joy or the biggest impact or the most revenue, it's a hard, I find it to be a hard perfect formula. I think about it, I use my feelings a lot, maybe that's wrong. I'm a woman, I don't know what to tell you, that's part of it. And I have almost no regrets. There's maybe 2 projects we've taken in 7 years that I regret, and that's it. So they all teach us, they all make us better. I don't know if that answered the question or not.
And it answers it beautifully, and it leads on to lots more questions. So what's your let me rephrase that. There's a television program on in the UK at the moment, and it has sort of 10 amateur interior designers, and they go through they design a space each week, and eventually one wins a contract with a company to go and design their homewares range, whatever. And it's been going for a few years now, and one of the things that the judge always says is that one of the challenges for designers is guiding clients to what you as a designer can see they need versus when the client comes to you with this long list of what they want. And I
Yeah.
just wondered how you navigate that tension between the client that thinks they know very clearly what they want versus your almost, well, I guess, reality and experience of what actually works better in that situation. How do you have that
Yeah.
condition?
I have 2 really firm answers on that. One is that our job is to instill confidence in that we know what we're talking about. And if
Yeah.
we have that confidence immediately with a new client, when
Mhm.
they bring us a long list or they bring us maybe ideas that we know aren't going to work, we speak with confidence and help them understand whatever it is that we're helping them navigate, be it they want to they have a list of 50 things and their budget is really only for 20. I'm direct with them with
Mm.
love, but I'm
Mhm.
direct to say, listen, this is a reality, and I would rather have this conversation now than lead you down a path and then a little bit of bait and switch. I'm not going to lead a business that way. That doesn't make my business succeed. It's not going to bring in repeat clients. So we're going to have this conversation right out of the gate, and we do it literally in the first meeting. We go through and understand budget list. If they have some ideas that are questionable, those maybe we navigate slowly, because maybe the ideas they have are questionable, but maybe they can end up working in different ways than we think. We always know there's 3 solutions to every problem, so we know we can navigate that. But we often, the biggest thing is with budget. And so I tell them, like, I'm your finance manager in this project, so we're going to have a conversation right away to understand really what's feasible, and then we're going to get your list of priorities, and we're going to gain momentum that way. 9 out of 10 clients, or 9.5 out of 10 clients, really appreciate that. They
Yeah.
appreciate the transparency, the confidence. Like I said, I think confidence is everything in that conversation.
Mhm.
Now, on the flip side, my part 2 of answering this is, we have a value at Studio 790, which is called No Ego Amigo. Okay, which is, we're in a creative industry.
Mhm.
What does that mean? It means it's very subjective. So we aren't designing for ourselves. We are designing for a client who is paying us. Therefore, when we submit designs to a client, and let's say they don't like something that we've submitted and they want to change it for something else, if we think their response back is terrible, we will tell them that in a loving way. And if they continue to push back and they continue to say, no, 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 we want this red sofa in this space, and here's why, we surrender. No,
Yeah.
let the ego at the door. This
Yeah.
is I would rather have them be happy than us be right. I would rather have them love their home
Hmm.
and feel connected to their home than us be right because we are the designers in the project. Like there's this ego in our industry that I think, I don't know, I think clients and businesses would be a lot better if we could all, and we're not perfect at it, don't get me wrong, but it is when my team comes to me and they're like, the client, they want this and they don't understand. I said, okay, did you tell them why it doesn't work? Yes. Are they still fighting for what they want? Yes. Okay, let them have it. You want peace, you want them to be happy, and we surrender. We don't surrender right away. We put up a fight a little bit of
Yeah.
a healthy fight, right? And sometimes the client says, "Ah, okay, that makes sense. Great." And sometimes they don't, and we leave our ego at the door. So that's how we navigate this tension,
Mm.
with confidence in the conversations, and then hey, we're gonna let our egos go by the wayside and let the client love, the outcome. That'll be more important for us.
Mm. And I think it's a huge amount in the first part of what you said about the value of trust.
Yeah,
And I love when he's say to the client, "Look, I'm your finance director," because we've all seen shows on TV where somebody's redesigning their home. They've got a budget of 200,000, and you get to the end and they do the big reveal, and it's like, "How much did you spend?" "Well, a little bit over. We spent sort of 600,000. You think, what? It's just, I think
yeah,
having somebody that sort of says, "Look, okay, here's what you want. Here's what the costs are. Here's what we can
yeah,
do, and let's just move forward from there." Really, it's really interesting. I mean, I said before, my background was commercial real estate, and I think there's been a big shift since the pandemic of how we view spaces. A couple of examples. So I think a lot of people, when they work for a company, went to the office, went to the headquarters. That's where they worked. That was their job, was go in there 9 to 5, 9 to 6, whatever,
yeah,
5 days a week. That's where they went to, and pretty much you had a desk and a chair and a computer, and that was it really. We never really gave much thought to the almost emotional and psychological impact and environments that we work in.
yeah,
And I do think since COVID, there's been more effort, certainly at a I guess the top 10% of companies, certainly more effort to actually create spaces that people want to go to.
yeah,
And that works the same for offices, for hotels, for homes, whatever place you want to be in, as opposed to a place you've got to go to.
yeah.
And I wonder what you've learned about the emotional impact of the environment that we're in.
Yeah, we have, you're spot on, right? The pandemic was a terrible, season for many people and many industries. And I think our industry was one that we benefited greatly from because of people being in their homes and the recognition of, if I'm there every day 24 hours a day
Yeah.
and I cannot leave, it takes very quick to realize, is this house serving you or
Mm.
depleting you? And that mentality, like, we already knew that. As in this industry, we could have told you that way before the pandemic, like, hey, how do you feel about your house? But people's awareness wasn't as strong as it was until COVID hit.
Yeah.
And so for us, it is now, it's an easy conversation with clients because everybody went through it. And now when we talk about, let's go through the psychology of how this is going to make you feel. How will it serve you? Is it functional? Is it, and it's great because a lot of clients are coming to us and they're like, we're not after museum quality, everything looks pretty. We're after this home working for us. I say to them all the time, you pay a mortgage on the entirety of your home. That means the entirety of your home should be serving you. And serving you does not equate to expensive. It doesn't equate to break the budget, right? It just means, let me understand what that means for you. How do you want your home to serve you? How do you want spaces to have multi-purpose use? Do you have kids? Do you have dogs? All of the conversation around functionality and making sure the lifespan of products meets the needs of the client. And so I'm super happy about it because I think everyone by and large is much more intentional about how they're designing. And because of that, they need us because
Mm.
they don't, they have an idea, but I think now more than ever, they're like, this house matters. How everything is set up in my home and the way it looks and the colors we use and the way the lighting is installed, where the lighting is installed, all of these things really, have a play to livelihood at the end of the day. It really does come down to a person's well being. When we are in a home that is serving us, it is going to help you be a better mom, a better leader, a better business owner, better fill in the blank. Whatever you do for a living, or the titles you have, you will be better if your home is set up to serve you.
Definitely. I love one of the lines you said then was that you pay the mortgage on the entire home. And you've probably done the same. I've done work with sort of heat mapping different locations, the offices, buildings, whatever. And it's amazing, actually, if you do that for a week or a month or whatever, how little of the space people use when it's not configured properly. We're
Exactly.
talking like 10 or 20% of the space. Some parts of the home or office people never
Exactly.
ever go to them. But if
Yeah.
you can create that flow and that design, and we were fortunate, we moved house just after the pandemic. So the house we were in before was fine. It was great for our kids until they were sort of young teens, and it worked fine as a functional environment. But the house we're in now, just I love coming home to it every time I come home. It just works perfectly. Everything flows properly. I don't know. It just works really, really well. And there's massive, psychological difference between going somewhere where it's a place where you can cook and you can sleep and you can
Yep.
watch TV versus a place where, if you have to be here for 24 hours, it's great. I can't think of anything better, really.
Exactly. Exactly. No, it's critical right now. And the world we live in is a mess, right?
It is.
So
Mm.
you go outside, you should, when you come back home, there should be a peace, and you should desire. I love that you said that. You want to go
Mm.
home. That's
Yeah.
our goal. We want to make people want to come home.
It's interesting. I think you worked in luxury hospitality
Yeah.
originally, was your
Yep.
bit. So
Yep.
I was lucky enough in the early part of my career to be a consultant and got to fly around the world in front of airplanes and stay in some amazing hotels and amazing places. And I always thought even then there's a lot of things that hospitality really, really got right. That I would think, oh, I wish I had this at home. I wish I had this in my office. I wish because they have limited amount of space. Every room is valuable. The common space is valuable. Whatever. I think there's a huge amount that I think offices, buildings, residential complexes are now learning from hospitality. So that's certainly the top end that actually helps make the environment they're in much more effective, usable, and enjoyable. Really. And do you find that as lessons from hospitality that you're bringing into our standard way of living?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I'll point out COVID because people weren't
Yeah.
able to travel.
Yeah.
So those people are like, okay, how can we make our homes feel like, not every client, not everybody,
No,
but
no.
how can we make it feel like a luxury hotel experience? Like, what are those pointers? And I have that in mind always because I spent 20 years in luxury hotels. So every time we design something, I think, ooh, how do we replicate that thing that they did at the Four Seasons? Or
Mm.
when clients are thinking about their bedding, and they're like, we can't have white bedding because it's going to get dirty. And I'm like, well, let me remind you that every single hotel has white bedding, and there's a lot of turnover happening in there. It can work. And there's just little, to your point, there are little touches and little things that can make a space feel elevated. And we take those tips and best practices from another industry, which is super fun. I love it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. And it's funny, isn't it, with the whole bedroom things? I mean, ideally, we spend a third of our lives in our beds and bedroom,
Yeah.
but we don't spend a huge amount of time thinking about the bedding and the cotton and the thread count and all those things. We spend more time thinking of something very minor in a place in the house where we might spend 20 minutes in a day.
Right.
Whereas we spend 8 hours in bed, so surely I want to be super comfortable and feel that's my
Yeah.
cocoon, really. Yeah.
That's
Just,
exactly
just
right.
just coming onto something else. So I know you spend a lot of time mentoring people, and particularly women, about operating without burning out. And I wondered if one of the challenges with burnout is perhaps the way we have been educated, guided by society in some ways
Mm,
to view what success means.
yeah.
Is Or perhaps we're burning out chasing the wrong things, if that makes sense. Because we've always think success is get to good college, get a good job, get promoted, manage more people, get promoted, change jobs, all that work. The more hours you work, the more people you manage, the more successful you are. But it's sort of feeling more and more again, sort of post COVID, and particularly in the world we're living in today, that maybe that isn't what success is all about.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I love this topic because, when I think about success, I think about this word rich. And
Yeah.
when we can define rich in a way that is a lot more appealing, which is, you know, I just said to my husband literally this morning, like we are rich. Why? Because we have our health, we have jobs we love, we have a great relationship, we live in a beautiful city called Miami, Florida. It's often perspective more than it is things, right? Not even often. I think I would say always.
Mm.
Um, I talk about it with friends. We do. I have a great tradition. It's happening tonight. We call it Wellington Wednesday, and I get together with some of our best friends, and we share a meal around a table, either at our house or their house. And this topic of right success or what does it look like to be rich has actually been around the dinner table the last few weeks. And we just sit there and we're like, we're the rich ones. We are the ones that, have for the most part control over our time. We're not hustling to climb the corporate ladder, and we get to have freedom, and we get to own our own time, and we get to travel when we want. There are certain privileges that come with being an entrepreneur, and I am so grateful for it. So I have redefined success. And I talk about this a lot with, right, the women I mentor and the different organizations I'm a part of is like, what are you really after? Right? We're not after the thing. People think, oh, I'm after, I want a bigger house, or I want,
Mm.
right, the next job. You're really after the emotion that is tied to the thing. And so if we can shift our perspective to go, no, what I really am after, right, is peace, knowing I control my own time and somebody else doesn't. My corporate boss doesn't control my time. I get to on this earth. Ah, okay. And the emotion I get with I'm in charge of my life. That's the most beautiful thing. That's really what I'm after. That to me is success. That means I get to live a rich life. It's never really about the things. It's about, and maybe that's cliche, but having just walked with people going through health issues or deaths of parents, and there's when you stop and you say, okay, today I have my health and I have my family and I have a job I love that I don't feel like is work. Like I'm what else could I possibly want? Right? So
And is that part of what's driven you to donate so much money and time to non-profits? But a lot of people, yeah, do what they do and they're very happy and they focus on themselves and their family. Which, no, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but what is it that's sort of driven you to be so focused on philanthropy?
yeah, I think it's in me. I think I was born with a gift of generosity.
Yeah.
And I also think you can be not born with it and still over time become a generous person. So I don't think it's like if
Mhm.
you don't have it, but I there, the saying like it's more, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. It's better to give than it is to receive.
Yeah.
Right? You learn that as a kid. And this is it. When I get to bless other people, the joy I receive, and I'm not doing it for my own joy, right? In the end, I'm doing it to serve others.
Mm.
But to have the ability and I have a freedom that I'm like, if I'm blessed with my time, right? If I get to own my own time, I should be giving back some of my time to somebody else. I have a mentoring call in a couple of hours. In fact, I don't charge for this. And if I can bless somebody in that way and financially, I've grown up in the church environment. We give back 10%. And I had a moment a couple of years ago and I said, wait a minute, if I'm going to give back 10% personally and I do it with joy, I don't even think about it. None of it's mine. It's not going to come with me when I die. Why don't I do this in the business? So I started instantly that day, changed my financial sort of formulas and said, okay, every, 10% that comes in is going to go back out to bless others. And um, I'm here on this earth to make an impact way beyond interior design, way beyond homes. I want to impact lives. I want to impact my team. I want to impact their families, my own family, and have a real ripple effect. Our um, vision for 2026 at Studio 790 is built to multiply. And we want to be a company that has an impact that can multiply beyond what we can see, beyond the years to come. That really, is a legacy I want to leave. I'm less excited about a legacy of, wow, the homes were beautiful. I love beautiful homes and
Mm.
beautiful spaces and all the projects we do, but I'm way more in love with making impact on people's lives. And I think Studio 790 is just a vehicle that happens to be an interior design company that I get to, give from. So it's a heart posture.
That's what was wonderful.
Mhm.
I was just thinking of just saying it, how powerful it would be if many, many more companies, businesses, people thought that way if they give back in the same way. Think about I was listening to a podcast on the way back from walking the dog, and it was talking about a lot of the AI companies, these huge sort of tech companies that are growing at billions and billions and billions a year, but that money just goes to pay back venture capitalists, and
Right.
yeah, it doesn't necessarily make its way back to the people that need it really.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, so what you said is very powerful, and I'm completely on board with it. But I would imagine your recruitment and hiring processes must be very robust to make sure you get the right kind of people into the business, because not everybody would necessarily fit well within that culture. So do you tend to be involved still personally with the hiring of people?
Yeah, I'm involved in our entire hiring process, and I would
Mhm.
tell you that we're getting better at it.
Yeah.
I think that I've learned a lot. To your point, when we interview, it's yes, it's about your skill set and what depending on the job we're hiring for, we want to make sure it's a match. But at the end of the day, if you don't carry our values, you won't like it here.
Mm.
We probably won't like having you here.
Mhm.
Not that we don't like you as a person, but we there has to be a value match. It doesn't mean we have to be the same person. I don't want the same people. I want different people, right? With different skill sets. But at the end, like if generosity makes you uncomfortable, you're going to be uncomfortable here then.
Yeah.
If giving back, if celebrating often, if focusing on gratitude more than complaining about clients, is something that you won't like, then it's not going to work. So we talk about our values from the beginning of every
Mhm.
single interview process. I share them with them and I tell them, if any of these don't align with who you are,
Mhm.
then let's not move forward. No big deal. There's probably a company that is going to be better for
Mm.
you. Um, so I am, but you can only an interview process, right? You meet somebody a couple of times, you do a case study, you hire them. It's still hard. The
Yeah.
person might say that they, carry these things and they might, but what I have found is people that come to us and say, I've been following you for a while. I see that you do these things. I see that, you know, they know our story
Mhm.
and they want to come to us and that drives them to come to us. Chances are they're going to get probably fast tracked on, let's interview that person first,
Yeah.
because there's something pulling them in,
Mhm.
whereby everyone else who just says, here's my resume.
Yeah, which is sent out to another sort of 20 companies the same day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's probably not a match. We are personal. Our designs are personal. So if
Yeah.
you're sending a resume into us that's not personal, then literally I hit delete.
Yeah.
And I say that. I ask people, if you really want to work for us, then send me a video of yourself and tell me why and go the extra mile. And the people that do, again, I'm not saying they're going to get the job, but they're going to be higher in line. And I hope to, even if we don't match perfectly with somebody's values, but at least there's enough of it, they could come to this team and maybe, again, back to giving back, I could help them in their life and help them beyond interior design, see that we're here on this earth to make impact
Mm.
on other people's lives. That's one of our main, human truths, that everyone really has a desire. They may not know it, they may not admit it, they may struggle with it, but that's fulfillment. That is what significance means. And so I think, you know what, if somebody's close enough to our values and we bring them in and they have an openness and a willingness to say, "Hey, okay, I can catch this," then chances are they're going to succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been really interesting. Everything that you've said and all the answers that you've given, you come across as the person you are, a very strong, capable, driven, ambitious, but compassionate person, woman. And it's very interesting because I remember a meeting I had at my old company where we were sort of with a couple of senior leaders. We were talking to the sort of team, mixed team of sort of men and women, and it became very clear. And I think lots of research bears this out that the women in the room would apply for a position or go for a job if they had like
Mm,
10 out of 10 skills that were listed.
yeah.
Whereas the men in the room and generally be like,
Yeah.
two or three, yeah,
I got it.
and
Yeah.
I was the same. There was a opportunity came up to be possibly head of country in Italy. I don't speak any Italian, never been there. Well, I've been there, obviously, and I said, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
And I did a complete faith that I could do it.
Yeah.
I'll hire great people and we'll make it work and it'll be amazing.
Yep.
And the women in the room, generalization, of course, was looking at me, but how you don't speak Italian? And I had answers to all the queries, whereas it almost felt like they were trying to come up with problems that were insurmountable. And so I guess my question is, when you mentor, particularly women business owners, do you still find that there's perhaps I don't know word it's the wrong way. I almost find that they almost emotionally, mentally create reasons why not? Is
Yeah.
that fair?
100%.
Okay.
It's still happening with the high majority of women. And it's
So annoying.
when I think about that, I think about the leftover gifts that didn't get used. That's all I think about. It breaks my heart, actually.
Yeah.
Because it comes down to there's a few things it comes down to. It comes down to fear, lack of
Mm.
confidence, maybe a lack of optimism, if I'm
Mhm.
being honest. Because as you were talking, I was thinking, I'm the same. I am optimistic to a detriment, and I'll take projects on right now that I have no idea how to do. None.
Mm.
A new project in a new industry, and I'm like, we'll figure it out. I'll get the right people. Makes everyone's life a little harder, but in the end, we figure it out and it works. And we make some mistakes, and most people have grace, and it's a success. But
Yeah.
women carry a lot of fear and lack of confidence. Even though maybe on the outside for a moment you might not see that, but when you unpack it and you peel back layers, that's what it comes down to. They feel like they don't deserve it. They feel like they're not worth it. They feel no, they focus on what they don't have versus what they do have. And to me, it's a rewiring of your brain. It's a you have to reset and build a few new habits. You know, what voices are you letting in your ears every day? What type of podcasts are you listening to? What is your circle? Who are the women in your circle right now? Are they instilling confidence and optimism and showing you like here's who you are, let's dream big for your future? Or are they like, oh, they're living in their past and they're complaining, and you might not even realize they're bringing you down.
Mm.
And I think women get comfortable with, yeah, I'm going to just sit in a circle of women and we're just going to, maybe complain a little bit and gossip a little bit. And that's not going to take you into your dream life. I can assure you of that. Yeah. So it's sad. It's sad. I have something I live by thanks to a wonderful man I like look up to. I don't know him personally, but Ed Milet is one of the only podcasts I listen to regularly. And he said this once, so this is from him, not from me, but when he gets to heaven, I'll say it from my perspective. When I get to heaven, I'm going to meet the Ann that God created. I'm going to look at her and I'm going to get to see everything about this person that God made. And it's going to be the most beautiful, amazing human being with talents and gifts galore and empathy and all the amazing DNA that I was given. And I'm going to look at her and I'm either going to see my twin the twin I lived out on the earth or not. And when I heard that, I'll never forget. I was on a run New Year's Day in Chicago. It was like 20 degrees out. And I stopped and I started crying because I thought, wow, that's what I'm after. How do I live my life on this earth based on the way God designed me with all my gifts and all the beautiful talents that He gave, not on my deficits, but on everything I do have and capitalizing on that and the impact that I can make with the gifts I've been given. And I want to see the twin. I don't want to see a different person. So that's my encouragement to everybody today. Thanks
Uh,
to Ed Milet. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I never thought about it like that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because we are created with these abilities, gifts, whatever. It's just how we choose to deploy them.
Yeah.
I do think with the women in business element, now I do think there is a responsibility upon the men within business to recognize, reflect,
Mm.
and empower women that want to try different things, different opportunities, whatever. I recognize that the way they ask, the way they position things, perhaps needs to be different depending who they're talking to. Because there's still this sort of slight notion in business that if almost not that women can have it all, but women should have it all. You should want everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's not what men or women want. And I think this whole thing about work-life balance is such a misnomer. It sort of suggests everything should be 50-50. Whereas a lot of the time it's very fluid, isn't it? There's
Yeah.
times where I'm sure you're working much later than you want to do, but other days you think, well, I'll take a half day and I'll go and do this. I'll go and play paddle, I'll go racquetball, I'll go for a run, I'll go for a swim or whatever. And
Yeah.
it's just a much more, I'm trying to see it as much more of a holistic, very fluid situation and not a very linear
Exactly.
work-life balance.
Yeah.
Because
It's
it just
beautiful.
doesn't feel like something you can really achieve, and you shouldn't strive for it because you're always going to be in a hiding for nothing really. As
Exactly.
opposed to thinking, how do I, yeah, go through life doing what I need to do today, and then tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. That's how it feels it should work instead, really.
Yeah. Exactly.
When you get recognized by outlets like Architectural Digest and Inc. magazine, well, first of all, when you think, what? how,
Yeah.
how does that external validation, recognition, how does that impact you? How does that make you feel and your team feel?
It it's interesting because yeah, it feels great and
Mhm.
it's a beautiful thing. I think it helps with credibility. There's a lot of benefits to getting recognition from outlets like Architecture Digest and Inc. magazine.
Yeah.
Um, but all it makes me feel is I certainly do not deserve this. If you look at my credentials and how I started this business, which was like from nothing, and therefore, if I can build a business without an MBA and without an interior design degree, and I can do it amidst one of the worst seasons of my whole entire life, and then somehow make the Inc. 5000 list like within a few years after starting the business, all it does is give me hope for every single person around me. And it's really encouraging and it makes me a better coach and it makes me a better leader because I just think this is crazy. I remember getting an award, the business leader of the year. Emma Grade is on this list. Like there's people on this list that no, she's on the female I got the female founder award, right? There's I don't remember how many. And the business leader of the year, there was 30 people. 30 people and I made it. And I'm like, did they make a mistake? What's going on here? I don't know if they know who they've nominated. And jokes aside, and I sat there going, okay, if anyone is going to tell me they can't do something, I'm going to reassure them that they can because if I can make a list like this, if my team can make a list like this, then you have the power to do whatever you want. Because I don't have, no one like invested in my business. I didn't get any external funding. I don't come from money. I didn't, like, there's no shortcuts I took, nothing.
Mhm.
I just worked hard and had the passion and the confidence to go, I'm going to take the next step and then the next step and then the next step. And I'm not going to let the failures like I'll be mad about a failure for like a day and then I move on. Um, and so it really equips me to encourage others. That's really what I use that recognition for, more than anything. And then yeah, we put it on our website, and maybe that'll help a client make a decision to hire us over somebody else. That would be great. But I don't. Otherwise, I don't think too much about it. It happens. I get excited, and then we move on. We have work to do.
It sounds like you're the perfect winner. Then I think that's exactly what people should do, really. Because if you sort of rest on having achieved that, you just stop and remain static. Then just a couple more things for I let you go. You've been very generous with your time.
Yeah.
Thank you. But how have you started to find that? AI and AI tools are starting to encroach in your space? Are people thinking that AI tools can do some of the things that perhaps they might have looked for a company to do before? Or is it tools that you use internally to help support and develop things? How are you seeing AI in the design business?
It's everywhere.
Okay.
So I welcome it. I love it. We use it. I continue along with a lot of other people right now. It's not going to replace humans. It's just adding,
Mm.
it's a bonus.
Mhm.
Obviously there are some industries and jobs that it
Yeah,
replaces,
yeah.
but I think when we really peel back the layers of it, for the most part, I am no AI expert, but it might replace parts of somebody's job
Yeah.
that can then free them for them to go to the next level, for them to do more for the company. So we use it and we're grateful for it. We're excited about it. We're a part of a couple of AI for interiors groups.
Mhm.
Um, I have an AI consultant that's part of sort of an extension to our company. So if I'm noticing we're wasting a lot of time doing the same task over and over, I'll deploy him and say, hey, help me figure this out. I invest in it. I am for it. And I'm excited about it, to be honest with you.
I think you've got it exactly right. I think that's the big thing that people perhaps are actually coming around to now is that it's AI is very, very good at replacing tasks. Yeah, it's not very, very good at replacing roles.
Exactly.
I think businesses that think, oh, we can save 20% of our headcount because of AI. Well, no, you can't. You can just save 20% of the tasks they were doing. You
Yeah,
still need 80%. So I think one of the things that I think we're having to learn is how do we help people, guide people as to what to use their time that they've saved for? Because we don't necessarily want to do more of the same thing. But if you're managing to save a day a week by having your emails created, meeting notes done, all that sort of basic admin stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, how can you use that day a week? And that's a really exciting bit. If you're suddenly getting an extra 8 hours a week to do stuff with, to think about things and to create and to be, yeah, to be passionate about something you're focused on, that's what I think the exciting part is really.
exactly. Yeah. The
And
future was
perhaps for just two more. So perhaps for listeners that maybe are feeling late to their purpose or they want to start over, but they're sort of 40 or 50 or beyond, how would you encourage them that this is absolutely the right time to grab your purpose and run with that?
Yeah, I think it's never too late. I mean, I know that's cliche to say, but I did it at 40. I know you could think of a lot of famous people, Vera Wang, Julia Child. There's so
Yeah.
many people that started later in life. And
Mhm.
what I can encourage somebody is that doesn't mean the first season or the first couple chapters of your life are wasted. It's just fuel for the thing that's going to like light your soul on fire. And I just think, again, we have one life to live. And if there's something that you feel you're not doing and should be doing, don't let fear, don't let imposter syndrome, don't let any of that get in the way. The world needs the gifts that you have. You were blessed and given these particular gifts, this thing, this desire to make an impact. And so if you don't do it, you're really doing a disservice to those around you, right? You're clinging because of your own insecurity and your own fear. And if you could surrender that fear and surrender that insecurity and be able to then open your hands, and say, okay, I'm going to step into my purpose now. I'm going to do this thing. And it's not going to be easy. You're going to
Mm.
have to do it every day. You're going to have to hustle it out. And, but while it might not be easy, it's joy filled the whole time because there's alignment. When you have alignment, like I really can tell you in 7.5 years, I have not worked I don't feel like I never have the Sunday scaries or whatever people call them. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, this is the greatest thing that I get to do. And don't miss out on that. Don't miss out on that because of fear. Because you will be, a decade goes by like this. A year goes by like this. We know
Yeah.
how fast it goes. So it's either going to go by and you're going to be unhappy and not content and you're not going to feel significant, or you're going to work a little harder to get closer to your purpose. And that alignment is going to give you fuel for the rest of your life.
And then finally, do you have a vision or a thought or a hope for what the next sort of 5 to 10 years will bring? I mean, I think it was 10 years ago the business didn't exist. So, do you have, can you possibly conceive what the next 10 years might look like?
No, it's so hard for me to conceive it. I it's so I cast vision and dream big broadly, not specifically on timelines. And
Hmm.
maybe that's
Yeah,
wrong. Maybe, somebody would give me a better way to do this. But I every single day have a habit that I write down my 10 dreams I have. It's actually 13 right now. 13 dreams I have. I don't put a date to the dreams.
yeah,
Instead, I put action that day towards one of the dreams. And inevitably, if you act on your thing, whatever it is, every day you take one action on one dream or a couple of actions on a couple of dreams. And by action, I mean like make one phone call.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, that was it. It could be as simple as that. And maybe it's more. Some days it might be more than that.
Hmm.
Um, and what I have seen happen is the dreams come to fruition over time. They come to fruition. And so for me to think about 5 to 10 years, I know it's going to blow my mind. It's going to be bigger and better than I could ever have imagined. Because if I think of my year one to my year three, my year three to my year five,
Yeah.
I could never have. Yeah. And so I also leave a lot of space. I have dreams and I cast vision and I'm intentional and purposeful, don't get me wrong,
Hmm.
but I have to also leave space for the miracles. If I'm controlling it all and I'm too rigid, I think then we miss the miracles. We miss space for God to do like more than we could ever expect or imagine. So, I'm ready for an adventure.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Yeah, you've been great. I wasn't sure what to expect. I thought interior design expert. Not sure what, but well, so different from that. So I thought it was fascinating.
Thank you.
And it's just so encouraging and inspiring to recognize that. I love the way you talk about seasons and things. I really love that about how we go through different seasons, how some seasons are harder than others, and how there's always another season coming, and how to leave space for those miracles because they happen. If we leave space for them and then nurture them and encourage them, and who knows what on earth our life is going to hold.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. I've had the best time in this conversation. Thank you.
Oh,
I hope the listeners all walk away with at least one thing. That's always my goal. Walk away with one thing that you can do differently as a result of this conversation. And that one thing could change your whole life. So go change lives.
perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.